Bernard Hopkins. I hated to see him lose like that. I wouldn't go as far as saying that I felt bad for him, because I didn't. All right? I don't feel bad for anyone that talk like that before a fight. Okay? You talk the talk. You gotta walk it, man. It is what it is. I don't care who it is. When you talk like that on that level, you better be able to back it up. You know, you disrespected that guy, and all you did was give him more fuel to want to knock you out. I'm not saying that he didn't want to knock you out, but if there was any little bit of respect that guy had for you, he probably lost it the day you started talking that amount of trash. You know? So I don't feel bad for him, but I hated to see him get knocked out like that. You know, and it was a knockout. You know, at first I thought it was one of Bernard Hopkins' antics, because we've seen it throughout his whole career. Okay, I thought it was might have been a repeat of the Robert Allen fight when he went and jumped out of the ring and tried to blame it on the ref. Okay, because he was losing. Okay, you know, we've seen antics from Bernard Hopkins throughout his whole career. All right, and I thought it was another one. You know, we saw what happened with Chad Dawson in the first fight. We saw what happened against what's his name? Joe Calzaghe with the low blows. Okay, trying to get out of that, because that was another fight that was competitive. So we know his antics by now, and I first assumed that he was pushed maybe, or maybe he fell out purposely to try to get out of the fight. And we saw that it was, and after I saw the replay, I was like, oh, nah, he got hit with a three-piece. You know, he got hit while he was going down. Like, Joe Smith was landing clean as he was falling down, you know? So the knockout was legit, you know? And, I mean, as far as the fight itself, I thought that Joe Smith was winning, you know, pretty convincingly. You know, I thought, you know, Bernard Hopkins had some moments in those, maybe the 4th, 5th round, something like that. I thought he was landing some good shots. But outside of that, I thought Joe Smith was outworking him, as he should. I thought Bernard Hopkins was definitely worse since the last time we see him. I know he was getting dominated more by Kovalev, but one thing I heard Roy Jones say after the fight in an interview, and he said, you know, I knew Hopkins wasn't right when I saw his legs. Like, his legs were gone. And that's the first thing I noticed, too, in the first round. Like, the way Bernard Hopkins was moving. He was moving like an old man. Like, he was taking little baby steps, like tippity-tap, tap. And when he was using, you know, lateral movement. And I was like, yo, this guy looks like an old man fighting. Like, he really did look like an old geezer in there. Like, you know, I mean, I'm just being real. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He looked like an old man. And I mean, like, his physique looked okay. I mean, we've seen him. He looked physically the same as he did the last couple times that I've seen him. But in this fight, he was moving different, you know? And he just didn't look comfortable in there. Like I said, like, after a few rounds in, he started to get a little bit more comfortable, but he just didn't look strong in there. And, you know, and if this was the same Hopkins that fought Shumanev or Murat, I think he would have won this fight. He could have won this fight. But this night, that's the whole thing about this fight. You get dominated by Kovalev, right? You're already pushing 50. And then you wait 2 years to want to fight again. It's been 2 years. The Kovalev fight was November of 2014. All right? You get dominated in that fight. You're already old. And then you go to fight a young guy that's coming off of his biggest win, all right, where he knocks out a fight that he was supposed to lose, all right? He was supposed to lose that fight, and he ends up knocking out Fafara in the first round. And then you fight him pushing 52 years old. You're going to be 52 in, 4 weeks? Not a good idea, you know? And the thing is, if you want to go out and fight one more time, at least fight 6 months after your loss. You know? But he waited 2 whole years to say, I'm going to fight again, and I want to fight against someone relevant. All right, but you're fighting coming off of a layoff past the age of 50. You get what I'm saying? It just, and I know it was the fighter in him. Look at what's happened to Roy Jones, man. Roy Jones is still fighting as many times as he got knocked out in dramatic fashion. He still wants to fight. So I get it. It's the fighter in him. You know, I can't relate to Bernard Hopkins. I don't know what's going on in his head. But come on, like, you know, I mean, I didn't even do a prediction video for that. Like, for what? You know, like, I mean, it was like the last time I seen Hopkins, he didn't look that good, you know, and Shumanev and Murat and what's his name, Tavoris Cloud, those last few guys that he won against, you know, it was just like, they're good fighters, but you can beat those guys because Bernard Hopkins was a lot, you know, his skill set was a lot higher than those three, you know. But you fight Kovalev and then you fight Joe Smith Jr. 2 years after losing to Kovalev, and it's like, you really pushing it on this one, you know. So anyway, I don't know what else to really say. I hope he stays retired. I was making some jokes on Twitter about there being a Roy Jones, Bernard Hopkins 3, you know, because maybe Roy or maybe Bernard Hopkins is going to say something in an interview about the other one, and one of them is not going to like it, and they're going to start talking trash again, and there's going to be a third fight. You know, I was joking, all right? I don't want to see that fight. I hope both retire. You know, I would like both of them to retire. I don't want to see a third fight. But if it were to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if it were to happen. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think he's done with HBO. You know, I think HBO is done with him. I mean, you know, I think that's it. You know, and losing like that, you know, people are not going to want to see these two fight anymore. You know, people really don't want to see Roy fight. People don't really want to see Hopkins fight at this point. I know I don't. And based on what I'm seeing and hearing, not many people want to see Hopkins fight at this point. You know, as far as Joe Smith, I mean, he's going to be nominated as Fighter of the Year now. I mean, even if you don't think he belongs, or even if you don't think he is Fighter of the Year, he's going to be nominated by many now because look who he beat. You know, he beat two guys that, you know, he beat a guy that he was supposed to lose to, and then he beat another guy that is one of the greatest of all time, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. So, regardless of what age he was, you know what I'm saying? Like, Joe Smith Jr. wasn't Sergey Kovalev. You know, Joe Smith Jr. wasn't Adonis Stevenson. All right? You know, he's not Andre Ward. He's Joe Smith Jr. You know, and he knocks out Bernard Hopkins. The only one that's ever knocked out Bernard Hopkins. This makes you think about what Floyd Mayweather says about his health. You know, retiring on top. Why guys can't do it. Most fighters just can't seem to want to leave when they're at the top. You know, a lot of fighters just don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They want to keep fighting until they're absolutely sure they're not competitive anymore. You know, like, you know, it takes stuff like this to happen. Sometimes, many times, like Roy Jones, he's still fighting, which is crazy. But anyway, I don't know. You know, trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. Joe Smith Jr. at this point, he's in the shark pool now. You know, you're coming off of those kind of wins, and when you're going around saying that you should be fighter of the year, all right, don't expect to fight one of the best guys at 175. Because Fafara is a top 10 fighter for sure. He's definitely a top 10 fighter. All right, and if they were to rematch, I would probably pick Fafara, believe it or not. I just don't think Joe Smith is that good. I don't think he's that good. And he might have to fight a top fighter at 175 now because of these wins. But I don't think he deserves to be in there. I mean, not deserves. I don't think he has a chance of beating some of the top names at 175. You know, we were all wrong about Fafara. I mean, listen, the dude can punch, obviously. I don't think he's that skilled. And I think when he fights a really good fighter, I think they're going to get him out of there. I mean, we saw what happened to Shabratsky this past weekend, fighting Sullivan Barrera. You know, if Sullivan Barrera is to fight him next, or, you know, I don't know what the rankings are looking like. I didn't check. But Joe Smith Jr., I don't think he can beat the top guys at 175. Any other of the top guys. Especially because they know he has knockout power. You know, I'm sure from far, I think there's a part of Fafara that thinks he was going to go in there and destroy this guy. He got caught slipping, got caught with a hook, and got knocked out. But that's my opinion. You know, I don't think he's ready for the top. But he has no choice at this point because you beat two notable guys at 175. You have no choice now. You know? I don't know what's going to happen, but do I think I think he could possibly beat some guys, but I'm talking about the elite here at 175. You know? I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up about Bernard Hopkins in his fight. Just waited too long. He just waited too long. I mean, and I think his legs were the worst part about it. His legs. He's just the way that the baby steps he was taking around the ring just looked ridiculous. Looked really old, man. He looked really old. Hopefully it's over, man. Hopefully that's the last one. All right. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. It's a few days old now, so I mean, I'm sure this is probably not going to get viewed a lot, but I just wanted to just give you my thoughts on that fight and move on from it. Okay, Bernard Hopkins, and legendary fighter. You know, it had to go out this way because he wasn't going to stop fighting any other way. And I also felt that if Bernard Hopkins won this fight, I wouldn't think it would be his last fight. You know, if he looked impressive in this fight, I would have said, oh, he's going to keep fighting. You know, and even with the knockout, there's a part of me that still feel that he might want to have one more fight just because he doesn't want to end and go out like that. You know, I think the way he lost to Kovalev, it was dominant and everything, but I don't think it was like if he had just not fought again, it would have been people would have got over it, you know? Like we already got over it. Look at what Kovalev has done. I mean, I know he lost to Ward, but you know, that's a highly disputed decision, you know? Everybody respects Kovalev. Most people consider him to be a top 5 pound for pound fighter. So people respect that loss. It is what it is, you know, and he didn't get knocked out. But now getting knocked out by Joe Smith Jr. and getting knocked out of the ring, hopefully this guy is not like, yo, I got to get back in the ring and fight somebody. I can't go out and lose like that, you know? And this is how guys get caught out there. Because if he were to come back again, he wouldn't fight someone as good as Joe Smith Jr. And even if that guy beat him again, it's like, all right, now you're really dipping into your legacy now. Because of one thing that Bernard Hopkins said about Roy Jones, all right, before this fight, and because someone that was interviewed asked him about Roy Jones, something about Roy Jones, and Bernard Hopkins' response was, well, Roy started out a lot faster than I, you know, he beat me in the first fight, But it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And once he starts coming back, and he comes back one more time, and he gets another L, like how many L's are you going to take? You get what I'm saying? So, I think he should just end it there, you know? All right, so anyway, that's it. See you guys on the next one. Peace.